This is the fourth video in this series where we're showcasing the Internet Morse setups, the latest setups that we have for 2015. In this setup we're going to focus on EH-OCW. It's an application that has both keyboard and paddles, which is really nice. So you have both in the same application. And we have the same setup as far as the meters here. This is what's going to the input of Mumble. And over here we have the signal analyzer, so we can see what the spectrum is of what we are sending. Helps you keep an eye on any glitches that come up, especially working with Windows audios. So on the right we have Reaper, and it's set up as the master. And inside here we have the same setups. My audio will go away, but I want you to see how we have this set up so far. So this is taking the Realtek mic jack as the input of this Reaper and outputs it to the sound card, to the Realtek sound card. But we also have other tracks that are using Reaper's own ReaRoute ASIO driver. And as in one of the videos before, we're setting up the ReaRoute ASIO driver with the ASIO bridge so that we can use the hi-fi virtual cable to go to the Mumble input and the Mumble output. So in the Mumble input, hi-fi cable output, and the Mumble output, hi-fi cable input. Just like that. We'll go into this room here where we're sending, and you'll see what it sounds like. So we have the Mumble output coming to Reaper here through ReaRoute ASIO driver channel 3 and 4, which is where we have the 1-2 setup over here. This is what Mumble understands as the ASIO driver. So if you don't have 1 and 2, it won't send anything. But it's looking for the hi-fi cable channel 1 and 2. And this ASIO bridge lets you place 1 and 2 in any of those 4 positions. But we don't want it in 1 and 2 because it'll go right back out to 1 and 2 over here since they're in the same slot, and you'll get an endless feedback. So we don't want that. So this allows you to use one virtual audio cable, and this is a bit perfect. So it's bit for bit and doesn't do any sample rate while audio is traveling through this virtual audio cable. So we, just like before, we move 1 and 2 over one slot to the second slot here, and to keep this the same. So if we send, it's going out here, and if we, it's coming in. Turn that down so you can hear me. So it's going out right here. So let me change this a little bit and I'll show you what I mean. So now we have only one channel. And if we put it on any other one, because this has a direct relationship with the ReaRoute driver, so ReaRoute 1 and 2, ReaRoute 3 and 4, ReaRoute 5 and 6, and ReaRoute 7 and 8. So that's a really cool thing about the ASIO bridge. You can use this one virtual audio cable for both the input and the output without them getting mixed, since they're coming through the different channels on that 7.1 virtual audio cable. So let me show you the setup for EH-OCW. Go into Tools and Options. Take this out for a second. Now I'm using an experimental version that has a MIDI input. But if you have a serial port, just activate those and tell it where to go when you use EH-OCW as your pedal software code practice oscillator, software CW keyer. So here's the ASIO ReaRoute ASIO device, which is what Reaper's using. And you can also tell it what channel to use. And we're using 15 and 16, as you can see up here at the title bar. So it's those right there. And then you have to hit apply, close it, and reload. Close out EH-OCW and reload it. And then that'll make the change. So what happens is when this gets keyed, it plays in this track right here, because we have the input as ReaRoute 15 and 16. We have it going to a send like before, so we can independently adjust how much sidetone monitor you want without affecting at all how much energy goes to mumble input. Because you don't want to overjam the mumble input, and you don't want to underload it so that nobody can hear you. So we're sending 1 and 2, ReaRoute 1 and 2, because that's these two channels here on ASIO Bridge. So when ASIO Bridge is using that ReaRoute ASIO driver, it hears what's on ReaRoute 1 and 2. Right here. Then you can adjust this slider right there to determine how much you constantly want to send. It won't be above that or below that, it'll be where you set it. And then, since we're not sending to the master, and we're not sending to the sound card, because we have no audio hardware output except ReaRoute and the sidetone monitor, the sidetone monitor goes right here, and that's how we hear it. And then we can do this, turn it all the way off, and yet the energy is still going to, you see on the ASIO bridge here that it's still going. And if we did the scope, you can see that the paddles are still playing, yet I can't hear it. Now so that lets you adjust it however you want, however loud or however soft. And in the keyboard, it gives you an option. You can turn it actually off and just type. Sometimes it helps people type better. And there's a little meter over here by the stop. If you look to the left, that'll tell you how much buffer you have. So we'll fill it up and watch it go down as it gets toward the end. That's one way to find a visual cue for this keyboard. So we have both keyboard, and the keyboard can be set at any speed independently of what's over here. So right now I just have it set at 40. So let's turn this down here just to show you. And yet this still remains the same speed. So that's kind of neat. So we have the settings for EH-OCW, and we've described a bit of how to get this audio coming out of EH-OCW into Reaper by setting up a ReaRoute track. And I'm just using 15 to 16 to keep it away from the 1 through 8 that the ASIO bridge is using. So that keeps it out of that range. Then I don't have to worry about, because it won't let you send audio on the same track with two different apps. It'll be all kinds of audio distortion. Now one thing about these applications, Reaper, is that you can have any kind of plugin you want. So because I'm using MIDI on EH-OCW instead of a serial port, even has a joystick port that you can use. So I'm using Loop MIDI port 1, which is a virtual MIDI cable. And here's that application right here. So I've set up two different cables. I'm just going to use the one. And for the options here, I've enabled loop MIDI 1 in the options here in EH-OCW. Now I also need to figure out where, there it is. So I'm using this audio to MIDI generation. So as the audio comes in here, it sends it to loop MIDI port 1. And that's what activates this CW tone. So this first track is just a MIDI track, so to speak. It takes the audio coming in the mic jack, converts it because of regate. As you see, the threshold here and is just enough to trigger it. And that sends out MIDI note 77. That MIDI note 77 goes to EH-OCW and tells it how long to key it down. So it duplicates whatever the dit or whatever the da is coming in. It duplicates it in that MIDI note, and then that's what keys EH-OCW. And EH-CW comes right in here, and I've regenerated it. That's what it sounds like. So I've regenerated it again. But that's what the audio sounds like. It's a 1 kilohertz, and you can vary that. So let's do that real quick. Here's the audio frequency. So let's take it down. See. So there we go. That's what it really sounds like. And I'm just trying to do some interesting things with it, especially using this regeneration technique. Okay, so much for that. And then we have this similar thing for the mumble output. So I want to play some mumble output, then I want to show you what we're doing over here. We're going to regenerate whatever we hear on mumble, and there's some advantage to that, and I'll show you why in a second. I'm going to turn the mumble slider up so it's all the way down. Put it about right there. Now this is a regeneration right here. I want to activate it. So you heard a little bit of a cleanup. Now I'm going to show you one of the advantages of this is you can change the pitch of anybody you hear on mumble. So, there you heard that this tuning here lets me go up and down by plenty to find a pitch that I prefer, and it'll stay that way in regen no matter what their pitch is. And this first application here, again, is coming out of mumble. And if they're too soft or too loud, it always keeps it at -12 with this app, which goes to regate. It gives it a very stable threshold. So I can set when to trigger this MIDI note 77, which is very close to 700 Hertz. That keys this synthesizer, which is a sine wave synthesizer, where all I've changed on the default settings is attack and release, and I've set them both to 4 milliseconds. Followed up by this 12-pole bandpass filter with these settings here, and that helps clean it up further. So that's pretty nice. I really like the way that does. And it's really nice to be able to adjust somebody's pitch. It also takes out some of the snaps and pops you hear on internet QRN. And sometimes the Opus codec itself will have some sort of an effect with, Morse code tones where it puts a real high spike a full volume audio spike. This totally prevents that. You can also play with the settings with regate and the hold, and sometimes that will keep it from a really short spike from interrupting what's going on here, and it'll smooth it out a little bit. But pretty much Mumble does a good job. You usually don't have to worry about that. So we have the side tone monitor. Okay, we'll get back in that room there. So as I'm sending, again, you can vary this however you want, and Mumble never changes how much it receives. So that's pretty nice. So I think I've gone over the settings for Reaper, for EH-OCW, for the ReaRoute setup, for the ASIO bridge, and that is pretty much sums up what we're doing. And as far as the example for this configuration 4, using EH-OCW for Internet Morse. Thanks for watching.